What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. Hey, I'm intrigued with 3D. Not only that, VR 360 panoramic view like I showed you on my Xiaomi Mi Sphere, but the 3D, it just kind of brings it to another level. Now, pros and cons with it, especially with, the ability for people to be able to view the content. But I just bought this. This is not actually a true unboxing because I've actually been playing around with this a while to kind of get some insights and just to figure out how to convert video to things that I can post online, but I think I'm getting it. So this is actually by Vuze. It's called the Vuze 3D 360 VR camera, VUZE. You can see it comes in some different colors, and I've got it here in red. And they actually have another version called the Vuze Plus, which live streams, has better lenses, apparently better spatial microphones, and it's a lot more expensive. I will say the kind of the drawback of this thing is that it's pretty pricey. So this is the box that it comes in, and as you see, it opens up here, and we have some stuff here: a micro USB cable, which you'll need. Comes with a charging block, which I've already taken out, and it's plugged in there. Microfiber cloth. Oh, the virtual reality glasses for smartphones. It comes with this, so you'd put these, and then you'd clip your smartphone in here, and then you'd be able to watch in 3D. The other thing that we get is the camera itself, and this is the piece de resistance here. We've got a nice little hard case. This thing is pretty large, and it's pretty heavy. And here's the case. Like I said, it's in red, or the camera. And as you can see here, I actually not a big fan of these colored cases here. I'd rather them be in black. I think they're a little showy. And the problem is you want your camera to kind of blend away, kind of fade away into the background. You don't want people to really look at it. As you can see here, we've got some buttons on the top. Like I said, it's pretty large. It's pretty heavy. I'm not sure what to equate this to, but it's pretty big. We have a power button right here, and then a mode button right here. So basically you can hold it down to turn it on. I do have an SD card in there. I'll show you. It actually does take a little while to boot up. It'll keep flashing, and then when it actually turns on, it's kind of like a smartphone or something, it'll tell you that's on. All right, so there we go. Now it's on, it's blue, and then this is your start, stop, record, or take pictures. Now I want to show you here on the back side, we have a little flap here, and I've got an SD card here. I'm using a U3, Class 10 U3, because it's basically two 4K cameras, micro USB there, and then a button there which toggles the Wi-Fi on and off. That's how you're going to connect it to your smartphone in the smartphone app. As you can see here on this side, or any side that you look at, we have two cameras, and that's to give you the stereoscopic view. And I will say, are they pupillary distance apart? Probably pretty close. It's kind of clever because you're getting that stereoscopic 3D view from any one side. Now, one of the drawbacks to this is that I thought, well, do these two then replicate left and right as you're looking around? And I'm not really sure, so let me just kind of hold the camera like this, and this is kind of the front, right? So when I've shot my footage and then I've looked at the video, straight on where the front of the camera is pointed, it does look very good. The 3D looks good. But as that subject starts to rotate around, right, and goes onto this side, once it gets centered, this side looks very good. But the problem is when it gets into this transition point here, I don't think this camera picture switches to this eye, and this camera picture switches to this eye, and and it starts rotating around kind of in the corners here. So it's hard to tell if it's really perfect 3D. To me, one of the signs that it's not working very well is that you get a really, really visible stitching on the edge here. You can actually lose the subject in the transition. So because where the cameras are looking, they're pasting together two pictures, and that transition sometimes is actually quite good. On my Xiaomi, it's actually pretty minimal right out of the box, but here it really has a very, very dramatic stitch. Sometimes you can lose a whole person or half a person as it's kind of transitioning. So that's why I don't think that these two images ever work together. You're only getting the 3D from here or the 3D from here, and then they're just kind of buttoned up, so you kind of lose that 3D effect kind of in this range, in the corner range of the camera. I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm going to stop there. But as you can see, we do have two cameras on every side. That's to give you the 3D. And we don't have a camera on top. As you can see here, you can actually see the camera, the lens there, and that's how you're getting kind of total top and bottom view. You're getting a full 360 spherical view. Now on the bottom here, we do have what I think is a 1/4 or a standard 1/4 camera screw. So you can mount this on a tripod or a stand. This is what they actually call the handle. And I'm just going to twist it in here. And what I find clever about it is that it snaps in one direction when it finally gets there. So it's actually pretty well made. So I'm just going to turn it in here. And what you'll see is it snaps forward, right? And it always falls in that position, which is pretty clever. And you can fold it down and make it pretty flush. It's not the biggest handle in the world, but it is a relatively clever design, because when I grab it like this flat blade is pretty, pretty comfortable, pretty easy to hold. You're only getting a couple fingers around it, but then you can see this little recessed piece here, and my finger wants to kind of fall into that. So it's actually kind of nice, because just grabbing it, you kind of realize what is front on this, and it's this direction. So you're kind of holding it out like this, or carrying it off to your side, and your finger is kind of nestled in this little recessed space there, and it feels pretty good. And I have carried around and shot video, and it works pretty well. All right. So the other thing I will say is that it does come with some manuals, which I did look at, and because I couldn't figure out what was going on. And two things I will say is that when I got this camera, the firmware was old. There was a firmware update at kind of the end of the year, and so the firmware on this must be like 6 months old or more. And I actually had to kind of follow the very specific instructions of taking the SD card out, downloading the new firmware file, copying it onto here, and renaming it. So a lot of times on the instructions they say, hey, you should just be able to download the firmware file, put it on the root drive of the SD card, pop it in, and it should install. But it didn't, it wouldn't work. And in fact, what ended up happening is that it would never allow me, even though the Wi-Fi was on, to connect to the iPhone app. As soon as I renamed it, put it to the root drive on the SD card, put it in, turned it on, it went through the process of loading the new firmware, and I was able to get the phone connected to my iPhone and get it working really well. And I haven't had any problems. Started shooting some video and have been playing around with how to get the video or in a level of quality that looks pretty good. So I'm actually not going to put any 3D video with this 2D video here, because that kind of screws things up. I don't know that it even works. But I am going to be posting quite a bit of 3D video from this, so you'll definitely want to check that out and kind of get an idea of, what the 3D 360 video looks like. I think it's pretty cool. Part of the problem, like I said, is what you're using to view it with. So I'm using generally the Oculus Go, and the Oculus Go goggles have pretty good resolution and they look pretty good, but I don't think I'm really eking out the best out of the camera and the Oculus Go. They're both kind of mid-tier consumer products. This is about a $700 product, and you're probably going to get much better recording. And then from a viewing standpoint, you could step up, I'm sure, to another product beyond the Oculus Go, and it would probably cost a lot more and be able to view it in a much more clear fashion. But I'm kind of using these mid-level products, and hopefully I can kind of create with kind of the consumer model, some decent usable products. So anyway, this is also going with me on my vacation. Sorry to ramble on and on and on about these things, but I'm pretty excited, and kind of my initial videos with this is pretty clever. I really like it. Check it out. I'll put a link to it in the description. Peter from Panda out.